Thanks for joining today's webinar. My name is Daniel Senyard, and I am the CEO of Shep. Today, we'll be talking about how to standardize your travel policy to your global workforce. So basically, globalizing travel policy communications. We have these webinars almost every Thursday. Typically, it's actually more like every two weeks. And you can register either at this bit.ly link, or it's probably easier just going to sheptravel.com. And then in the header, there's a little link that says resources, and you can click on the webinar there. And there you can register for upcoming webinars, as well as see recordings of all of our prior ones. And that's just an easy way to sort of review, share that. And I know some of you on this call actually have seen multiple and have told me, so I appreciate that. But yeah, we do these a quick 15-minute where we can walk through demos, give previews of new features we're working on, maybe just talk about general topics and best practices. But yeah, it's kind of a way for you to jump on and just see what we're working on. When it comes to globalization, one size does not fit all. You know, you've got your travel management team probably located in the same country or region that your corporate head office is, but that can leave some of your employees sort of feeling left out. You've got different languages and currencies that you've got to deal with. You've got different cultures, so different ways of talking to your team, communicating, different, social norms and such that have to come into effect. And then even different booking tools and suppliers, regional suppliers. And if all the documentation and the support and everything is focused on Concur in America, then maybe your employees who use Citric in Europe or Zeno in Australia are not getting the same sort of interaction and support that they need, or it's not in the language they want. And all of those can lead to some things. One being kind of a lack of engagement with your travel program, where these employees are just sort of the dots are not connecting, and it's hard to get them to buy into your travel rules and policies and everything else when they don't feel like they're being catered to, or so there's a lack of engagement that can happen there. The worst case there is that you actually can end up with churn, with employees quitting because they just don't feel like they're being supported, or they kind of feel like second-class citizens in the organization because things aren't tailored towards them. They're not being looked after in the same way that maybe the employees in the same region as the head office is, for example. And then a lesser problem, but probably a bigger problem for our world, is leakage. So employees who maybe should be booking on your online booking tool are actually going and booking on regional suppliers. And that becomes problematic because you just don't know where they're booking, how much they spent, where they're traveling to. You're losing out on your leverage for negotiating rates. And during COVID, obviously, this is a huge problem with safety, health and safety. Not knowing where your employees are is pretty dramatic problem. So we're going to introduce a framework, as we often do. I'm just going to switch over my screens. Okay, and so this is the global gap framework. I'll TM that just for fun. And that is our topic for today. So basically, to nail your travel program, to really get it right, you've got to have a few things that you can cater towards. You have to be able to address the multiple languages, the multiple regions, and multiple tools. And those can include things like your OBT, and we're just going to group suppliers in there as well. And the ideal is to get all of these right. But let's say you get your tools right, so everyone's using the same tool and they're on the same language. So let's say your British and American employees all using Booking for Business, for example, and it's all in English. And then that's pretty easy to get good tool adoption. I'll give that a little highlight in green because that's a good thing. Maybe you get your languages and your regions right. You've got employees in the same sort of timeline. They're both are in English, so you've got your English speaking team in Vancouver and your team in, LA, all same time zone, same language, all that stuff. So when that happens, you can get good interpersonal communication. Honestly, also a good thing. If you get your regions right, so people are in the same sort of region, but they're using different tools in OBT, and sorry, in the same tools in OBT. So let's say you've got your Europeans with your Spanish team, your French team, your British team. They're all using the same tools. They're all in the same region, but they're not shared. They don't have shared language. You can still get good policy enforcement because the tools kind of automate that. That's all on the good side. Now, on the downside, if you're getting your sort of languages and your regions right, but you don't have shared tools, what can happen there is you get inconsistent policy enforcement. Also, so you get your regions and your tools. You've got shared tools in the same regions, but different languages. The downside is you get inconsistent communication. And you get your tools right and your languages right, but you're in different regions. So, Concur usage in Australia and the US. You've got the good tool adoption, but the problem is you don't have, so you've got a lack of synchronous communication. If you've got those two right, but you're missing the regions. And so you need a way to sort of holistically get all of these right, to be able to allow employees to asynchronously communicate, have consistent policy enforcement, consistent communication, shared tools, all that stuff. That is the sweet spot in the middle. And I'm going to show you how Shep can be used to address some of these. I'm going to switch back to my screen. Here we have Shep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new notification that I'm going to tell employees that they need to book through the tool. So book through the approved tool. I've translated that to Hindi, and I'm going to copy that over. Obviously, you'd want your local team there to copy edit. But the functionality to be able to translate is quite easy within Google Translate. And then Shep can accommodate that. So I'm going to create a new notification. I'm going to call that my Hindi redirect. I'm going to put that in my demo company. I'm going to create a custom modal that's going to show up on all OTAs. I'm going to show that every time. Put my little message there. Just repeat it and repeat it. And then I'm going to put my Concur link, for example. And you can see here what Shep actually allows you to do is have groups. So your groups would be pulled from your SSO, and that would be your region. So I could pick my Indian employees, so they'd be the only one who would get this message in Hindi. So I'm going to publish that now. So next time employee goes to Orbitz, they would get that exact message. There's one with the finger. Yeah, so they get the message telling them to go to the tool. They would click on the link, would redirect them and take them directly into your booking tool. And you can see then you've got other messages, which again could be tailored towards the regional employees. Additionally, you can make this very consistent. So you can have this working on multiple OBTs. So I'm going to go over here, and you've seen it in Concur. This is now in Citrix. So if I said I was going to Stockholm, you can see here what Shep is able to do is capture that, reach out to third parties, and give you information around like what's the policy. And this is all coming from Riskline, who has multiple languages as well. So we can configure it to get your language for those employees in Riskline. But you can also then, put a review of this hotel in Swedish for your team, sort of saying, they had a great view over the water because they had two windows. So allowing you to communicate in the language across the tools consistently. And you can see here, this is white labeled as a company. So you're able to actually just kind of randomly picked a logo, but this allows you to sort of show the white labeling capabilities where it can look and feel like you and your company's culture. As you can see, Shep is a way to bring your travel policy to life, your return to travel, your COVID guidance, sustainability across the world, across websites. We put together a couple ebooks recently. So one was, outlining how to return to travel sooner and safer, kind of covering best practices as far as approval flows, selecting duty of care providers, all that sort of stuff. And then our second one was how Shep can be used to do those. So how our guided buying solution can pop up relevant information to help employees make the right decision at the right time. Yeah, and that's it. That's our 15 minutes. So I do appreciate you for being here. Any questions you might have, feel free to type those in. But otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.